The house felt unusually quiet the moment Emma stepped inside. The soft hum of the air conditioner was the only sound, and it seemed louder than it ever did when David was home. She closed the door behind her and leaned back against it for a moment, taking a deep breath. David had left early that morning for his week-long business trip, leaving her alone with Max, their golden retriever, whose paws patted softly across the wooden floor as he followed her into the living room. She bent down to scratch behind his ears, feeling the familiar warmth of his fur. And Max responded with a wag of his tail, his big brown eyes looking up at her like he understood every thought racing through her mind. Emma wandered from room to room, her steps echoing off the walls. Every little sound David usually made the kettle whistling in the kitchen. The quiet shuffle of his papers, the laugh he gave when he thought no one was listening was missing. The absence made the house feel hollow, almost strange. She sank into the couch and let out a sigh, Max curling up beside her as if sensing her mood. She glanced at the window where the late afternoon sunlight spilled through the blinds, casting long shadows across the carpet. "It's going to be a long week," she murmured, running her fingers along Max's soft fur. Her phone buzzed suddenly, breaking the silence. It was a message from David. "Wish I could be there? Take care of yourself." And Max? Emma stared at the screen, feeling a tug at her heart. She missed him already, even though he had been gone for just a few hours. She sent a quick reply. "I miss you too. Don't worry, Max and I will survive." Her thumb hovered over the screen for a moment before she put the phone down, realizing that even though David's absence left a quiet emptiness, it also gave her a chance to slow down, to notice things she normally overlooked when the house was full of noise and movement. Max nudged her hand gently, prompting her to stand up. "All right, buddy, let's make the best of this week," she said, smiling. Together, they moved into the kitchen where she decided to make some tea. As the kettle began to whistle, Max jumped onto a chair beside the counter, watching her every move with eager eyes. Emma laughed softly. "I think you're just waiting for me to drop a cookie, aren't you?" Max responded with a little bark as if confirming her suspicion. She poured the hot water over the tea bag and leaned against the counter, looking out the window at the quiet street. The neighbors were all busy with their own lives, the occasional car passing by. For a moment, it felt as if the world had slowed down just for her. She carried the steaming cup of tea back to the living room, Max trotting beside her, and settled once again on the couch. The gentle warmth of the mug in her hands was comforting. But her mind wandered to memories of past weeks, when David had been around. She remembered his quiet jokes, the way he would sit close on the couch, resting his hand on hers without saying a word, the comfortable silence that only two people in love could share. That memory made her heart ache in a soft, bittersweet way. She closed her eyes, letting herself sink into the feeling, but Max's restless movement nudged her back to the present. He circled a few times before lying down, head on her lap, looking up at her with eyes full of trust. Just as she was beginning to relax, there was a knock at the door. The sound was unexpected and made her jump slightly. Max's ears perked up and he bounded toward the door, barking softly. Emma hesitated, her heart racing for a brief second. Visitors at this hour were unusual. She set down her tea and walked to the door, peeking through the peephole. Outside stood Alex, her neighbor from 2 houses down, holding a small basket of cookies. His smile was warm and familiar, the kind that made people feel instantly comfortable. Emma took a deep breath and opened the door. "Hey, Emma. Thought you might like some company while David's away," Alex said cheerfully. The basket in his hand smelled of fresh chocolate and cinnamon, and Emma couldn't help but smile. "Well, that's very thoughtful of you, Alex. Come in," she replied. Max wagged his tail furiously, bouncing in place as if welcoming him personally. Alex knelt down to greet Max, who sniffed him eagerly before settling beside him, looking satisfied. Emma stepped aside to let him in, and the three of them settled into the living room. The conversation started casually, about the weather, the neighborhood, and small updates on friends they both knew. But soon, laughter began to fill the space, a sound Emma hadn't realized she had been missing so much. Max sat faithfully beside them, occasionally nudging Emma's hand as if to remind her to enjoy the moment. She felt a lightness in her chest she hadn't expected. Even though David wasn't there, the house no longer felt empty. Alex had a way of drawing her out, making the quiet feel warm and inviting rather than lonely. As the evening passed, Emma noticed how much she enjoyed the easy comfort of having someone else around. There was no pressure, no expectation, just the simple joy of shared stories and laughter. She glanced at Max, who seemed equally pleased with the company. The gentle flicker of the fireplace cast soft shadows on the walls, adding to the cozy atmosphere. Emma leaned back and sipped her tea, feeling a mix of contentment and a subtle, unspoken tension she couldn't quite name. When Alex finally stood to leave, the warmth of the evening lingered. Max jumped onto Emma's lap and she stroked his fur, feeling a soft pang of longing. She walked Alex to the door, noticing the sudden rush in his movements as his phone rang urgently. He glanced back at her with a small, apologetic smile. "I have to go," he said. Emma nodded, watching him disappear down the path. The house grew quiet once more, but it didn't feel as hollow as before. She realized that, even in David's absence, she could find moments of joy and connection, small reminders that life continued. And the heart was capable of feeling in many ways at once. Emma returned to the couch with Max nestled beside her, the two of them settling into a comfortable silence. The quiet was no longer lonely, was reflective, almost gentle. She thought about the week ahead, about the small adventures she and Max could share, and about the subtle ways life had a way of surprising her. Just as she was letting her thoughts drift, she caught herself smiling, a small, genuine smile that spoke of hope, warmth, and the quiet thrill of unexpected companionship. The knock at the door had been the first ripple in what promised to be a week of surprises. Emma didn't know what the days ahead would bring, but for now, she had Max, her thoughts, and the lingering warmth of laughter. And for the first time that day, she didn't feel entirely alone. The next morning, Emma woke to the soft light of early sun spilling through the curtains. Max was already awake, sitting by the bed and letting out a small whine until she stretched and got up. The quiet of the house was familiar now, almost comforting. But Emma still felt a subtle emptiness without David. She dressed quickly, deciding to take Max for a walk around the neighborhood before the day got too busy. The air was crisp, the faint smell of dew and freshly cut grass filling her senses as she stepped outside. She noticed her neighbor Alex across the street, tending to his garden. Their eyes met, and he offered a small wave and a friendly smile. Emma smiled back, a warmth rising in her chest she hadn't expected so early in the morning. Max tugged gently at his leash, eager to explore, and Emma followed his lead, walking down the sidewalk with him trotting happily beside her. The walk felt different this time. Instead of the quiet longing from yesterday, there was a sense of anticipation. Emma found herself thinking about how small, unexpected moments could change her mood, how simple human connections could make the house feel less empty. As they rounded the corner, Alex came jogging toward them, umbrella in hand. Moving quickly to shield himself from the sudden drizzle, his hair was damp and his clothes clung slightly from the rain, but his smile never faltered. "Morning, Emma. Didn't expect to see you out here," Alex said, catching his breath. Max barked happily, running ahead to greet him. Emma laughed, holding on to Max's leash as he sniffed Alex eagerly. "Looks like someone's happy to see you," she said, glancing at the golden retriever. Alex chuckled and crouched down to pet Max, who immediately rolled onto his back, clearly enjoying the attention. The simple interaction made Emma smile, a lightness spreading through her chest. "Fancy walking in the rain?" Alex asked, glancing at the soft drizzle now falling steadily. Emma considered it for a moment. The rain was gentle, the air fresh, and Max seemed to enjoy it. "Why not?" she said finally, shrugging. Max barked in approval, and together they began walking, Alex joining them as they wandered down familiar streets. The rain washed over them, cooling their skin and making the world seem new and bright. Even in the middle of the week as they walked, conversation flowed easily. They talked about work, about books they had read, and the small victories and frustrations of daily life. Emma found herself leaning in slightly when Alex spoke. Drawn to the calm confidence in his voice, the ease with which he shared stories. There was no pressure, No expectation, just a natural rhythm to the interaction that made her feel seen and understood. Max trotted between them, occasionally pausing to sniff puddles or chase a leaf blowing in the wind, bringing laughter and energy to the moment. The rain intensified slightly, and Emma pulled her hood over her head. Alex handed her his umbrella, and their hands brushed for a brief second as she took it. Emma felt a small jolt of warmth, a subtle, unexpected thrill that made her cheeks flush. Max barked, as if sensing the electricity in the air, and bounded ahead, chasing the raindrops with abandon. Emma laughed, feeling lighter than she had in days. And Alex mirrored her smile, the two of them moving together as the rain drizzled around them. They walked toward the park, where the trees dripped with fresh rainwater and the paths glistened under the soft morning light. Emma realized how rare it was to feel completely present in a moment. How easy it was to let thoughts about David or responsibilities pull her away from the now. Yet here, with Max and Alex, she felt fully alive, the rain washing away the monotony of her daily routine. Alex shared a funny story about a coworker who had accidentally sent a message to the entire office. And Emma laughed so freely that she almost forgot the week ahead, almost forgot the absence that had initially weighed heavily on her heart. At one point, Alex stopped to adjust his umbrella, and Emma noticed the way the light reflected in his eyes. The small details she hadn't paid attention to before. The subtle tilt of his head, the way he smiled when he laughed, the sincerity in his tone. It all made her feel a deep, gentle connection. It was different from the longing she had for David. This was new, unexpected, and entirely present. Max barked again, jumping into a puddle and splashing water toward both of them, breaking the intensity with a burst of playful energy. Emma's laughter rang out, echoing across the park as they walked back toward the neighborhood. The rain slowed to a soft mist, the streets shimmering under the soft light of morning. Emma felt a strange mix of emotions: happiness from the present moment, longing for David, and curiosity about the subtle bond she was developing with Alex. It was confusing, yet exhilarating, the kind of feeling that made life feel unpredictable in the best possible way. Max led the way home, ears flopping as he trotted excitedly, and Emma kept pace, smiling to herself. When they reached the porch, Alex turned to her with a playful grin. "Well, I think Max had a great time." "I know I did." Emma nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest she didn't want to let go of too quickly. "Yes, it was." "Wonderful," she replied softly. Max barked once, as if agreeing with her words, and Alex laughed. He hesitated for a moment, as if considering saying something more, but the sudden ring of his phone made him step back. "I've got to take this," he said quickly, pulling out his phone. Emma watched as he walked down the street, answering the call. Once he was gone, the quiet returned, and Emma realized how much she had enjoyed his company. The week had started with a sense of emptiness, but these small, unexpected moments, Max's playful antics, Alex's warmth, the rain on their skin, had filled her day with light. She knelt down to pet Max, who wagged his tail as if he, too, understood the unspoken feelings lingering in the air. "We'll have more days like this, won't we, Max?" she whispered. He nudged her hand, offering silent reassurance. Emma stepped inside, shaking off the lingering mist on her coat, and glanced around the house. It was the same as before: quiet, neat, waiting, but now it felt different. The absence of David was still there, but it didn't feel heavy or oppressive. Instead, it was a space where she could notice little things, enjoy fleeting moments, and even feel a spark of something new without guilt. She realized that love and longing could coexist, that it was possible to cherish what she had while exploring small joys in the present. Sitting down on the couch, Emma let herself relax, Max curling up beside her once again. She thought about the walk, about Alex, about the laughter and the rain, and a gentle smile spread across her face. She knew David would return soon, and her heart would fill again with the warmth of their life together. But for now, she allowed herself this small interlude, delicate balance between love, friendship, and unexpected connection. Max rested his head on her lap, and she stroked his fur, feeling a quiet sense of contentment and hope. The week ahead promised many quiet mornings, long walks, and perhaps more surprises. Emma realized that life had a way of presenting small treasures in the most ordinary moments. She didn't know what the future held, but she did know that she wasn't entirely alone. That love and companionship could appear in many forms, and that sometimes the simplest moments could bring the deepest joy. As she closed her eyes for a moment, Max's soft breathing beside her, she felt a gentle thrill of anticipation. Something about this week was going to change her, though she couldn't yet say how. The following day, Emma decided to take Max on another walk, hoping the fresh air would clear her mind. The sky was overcast, heavy clouds rolling slowly above, promising rain. Max was restless, his tail wagging furiously as he sniffed every corner of the yard, eager for adventure. Emma grabbed his leash and stepped outside, feeling the cool breeze brush against her face. The quiet neighborhood seemed different under the gray sky, almost cinematic, as if the world had slowed down for just her and Max. As they moved down the sidewalk, Max darted ahead, ears flopping, splashing through puddles left by the previous drizzle. Emma laughed, pulling her hood over her head, letting herself be caught in the moment. The rain began lightly, soft droplets that kissed her cheeks and settled in her hair. She didn't mind. There was something freeing about walking in the rain, feeling the world shift slightly, the ordinary becoming extraordinary. Max barked happily, chasing after leaves blown by the wind, and Emma felt a genuine smile spread across her face, turning the corner. She spotted Alex across the street again, struggling with a stubborn umbrella. He looked up and waved sheepishly, his damp hair sticking to his forehead. Emma felt a flicker of warmth in her chest, a reminder of yesterday's laughter and shared moments. She waved back, and Max, sensing the excitement, barked and bounded ahead. Alex chuckled and bent down to greet Max, who immediately rolled onto his back, tail wagging uncontrollably. Emma laughed, holding his leash firmly. "Looks like someone's happy to see you," she said. Alex smiled, brushing damp hair from his face. "I could say the same about you," he replied, standing upright. The drizzle grew heavier, and Emma considered turning back, but Alex offered her the umbrella he had finally managed to open. Their hands brushed for a moment, the small touch sending an unexpected warmth through her. Max barked again, running in circles, breaking the intensity of the moment with playful energy. Emma couldn't help but laugh, the sound light and free. She adjusted the umbrella and fell into step beside Alex, the three of them walking together as the rain formed gentle ripples on the sidewalks as they strolled. Conversation flowed easily. They talked about books they had recently read, movies that made them laugh, and the small frustrations and joys of daily life. Emma felt herself opening up more than she expected, sharing stories she hadn't told anyone in weeks. There was a comfort in Alex's presence, a quiet reassurance that made her feel seen without judgment. She noticed the way he listened, genuinely interested, and the way he smiled at the right moments, encouraging her to continue. Max ran ahead and back, occasionally nudging them to pay attention, adding an element of playful spontaneity to the walk. The park was only a few blocks away, and Emma suggested they head there. The rain had made the paths wet and glistening, the grass lush and vibrant. She let Max off the leash for a moment, watching him sprint across the field, ears flapping wildly. Alex laughed, cheering him on. "He's got more energy than I do," Emma said, shaking her head in amusement. Alex crouched to pick up a stick and tossed it for Max, who ran with uncontainable excitement, returning it eagerly each time. The simplicity of the moment, the playful energy of Max, and the genuine companionship of Alex made her heart feel lighter than it had in weeks. As they walked deeper into the park, the rain slowed to a gentle mist. Emma noticed the small details she hadn't before: droplets clinging to leaves, the earthy smell rising from the wet ground, the quiet sound of water trickling from the trees. Alex stopped to point out a small flower growing by the path. "Look at this," he said softly. Emma knelt to take a closer look, feeling the delicate petals beneath her fingers. For a brief second, the world felt suspended, quiet and intimate, the rain creating a protective bubble around them. Max sat nearby, panting lightly, eyes scanning their movements. They continued walking, shoulders brushing lightly as they spoke in low, easy tones. Emma felt a strange mix of emotions: happiness, curiosity, and a subtle tension she didn't fully understand. It wasn't romantic in a traditional sense, not like the longing she felt for David. But there was a gentle spark of connection that made her heart race slightly. Alex's easy smile, the sincerity in his voice, and the way he paid attention to her small reactions made her feel both comforted and alive at the same time. Eventually, they turned back toward the neighborhood, Max leading the way with relentless energy. Emma felt her heart swell with quiet joy as she noticed Alex keeping pace beside her. Umbrella tilted just enough to shield both of them from the mist. They laughed about minor missteps along the way, puddles they accidentally splashed into, and Max's stubborn insistence on exploring every corner. Emma realized that she had not laughed like this in a long time, that she had not felt this kind of carefree happiness since before David's trip. When they reached the porch, Alex hesitated for a moment, as if he wanted to say something but wasn't sure how. Emma felt a flutter of anticipation in her chest. Max barked, as if sensing the pause, nudging both of them toward the next moment. Alex smiled gently. "Well, I think Max had a great time." "I know I did." Emma nodded, feeling warmth spread through her. "Yes, it was wonderful," she said softly, her voice almost lost in the gentle rain. Max barked again, and Alex laughed, the sound blending with the soft patter of droplets on the ground. Suddenly, Alex's phone rang, breaking the quiet. He glanced at it, muttering, "I have to take this," and hurried down the steps. Emma watched him go, feeling a mix of emotions she couldn't easily define: gratitude for the morning, longing for the connection, and the subtle ache of knowing it was temporary. The house, now just a short walk away, seemed quieter than before, but it no longer felt empty. She glanced at Max, who wagged his tail, happy and energetic. As if he understood the lessons of the morning, joy could be found even in ordinary moments, and companionship could appear unexpectedly. Emma led Max inside, shaking off the lingering mist, and settled onto the couch with him curled beside her. The rain continued outside, a soft, rhythmic backdrop that seemed to match the gentle rhythm of her thoughts. She reflected on the walk, on the unexpected joy of the day, and on the subtle, unspoken connection she felt with Alex. It wasn't something to rush or define. It was a quiet awareness that life could surprise her, that her heart could hold many kinds of love, each beautiful and valid in its own way. For the rest of the afternoon, Emma let herself linger in that feeling, petting Max and sipping tea, occasionally looking out at the rain-soaked street. She thought about David and how much she missed him, but also about the small treasures of human connection that made life richer. Max rested his head on her lap, his warmth a comforting reminder that love could be gentle, playful, and steady. Emma realized that she could feel longing and joy at the same time, that happiness didn't have to diminish the love she felt for her husband. By evening, the rain had stopped, leaving the world glistening and fresh. Emma opened the windows too, let in the cool, clean air, and watched as Max sniffed at the grass outside, his tail wagging. She thought about tomorrow, about the week ahead, the possibility of more moments like this, expected, joyful, and quietly transformative. Sitting there, listening to Max's soft breathing, she felt a small thrill of anticipation. Life was unpredictable, full of small adventures. And she was beginning to understand that even in absence, love and connection could be found in the most ordinary ways. Emma leaned back on the couch, eyes closing for a brief moment, a smile lingering on her lips. Max shifted slightly, nuzzling her hand, and she whispered, "We'll be okay. Max, we'll find joy in the little things even when David isn't here." The thought brought a calm, satisfying warmth to her heart. A sense that even in the quiet moments, life had a way of filling the spaces we didn't even know were empty. The next morning, Emma woke to the soft light filtering through the curtains, the house quiet except for the gentle sounds of Max stretching and yawning beside her. She felt a curious mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. David would be home soon from his trip, and though she missed him deeply, she also carried with her the quiet, unexpected joy of the past few days. Walking into the kitchen, she found Max already waiting by the door, tail wagging energetically, ready for their morning routine. Emma decided to take Max on one last walk before David returned. The air was crisp and fresh, the sun peeking shyly through the clouds. As they stepped outside, Max darted ahead, sniffing every corner as if he, too, could sense the shift in the household. Emma laughed softly, the sound lighter than it had been in weeks, and allowed herself to feel fully present in the moment. Life felt delicate, precious, and filled with small wonders she hadn't noticed before. The neighborhood was alive with early morning activity, neighbors walking their dogs, children laughing on the sidewalks, and the faint scent of freshly baked bread drifting from a nearby bakery. As they rounded the corner, Emma spotted Alex tending to his front porch again. Their eyes met, and he waved with a grin. Emma smiled back, feeling warmth spread through her chest. Max barked happily and ran toward Alex, who crouched down to greet him. "Morning, Emma." "Max looks as energetic as ever," Alex said, brushing the damp fur from Max's coat. Emma chuckled, holding on to Max's leash. "He's been keeping me on my toes," she replied, her voice lighter than it had been all week. They walked together for a short while, the soft rustle of leaves and distant chatter filling the air. Emma noticed the subtle details she had overlooked before, the way sunlight reflected on wet pavement. The gentle sway of branches, the faint aroma of blooming flowers along the sidewalk. Alex told a funny story about his neighbor's dog getting into the garden. And Emma laughed freely, the sound echoing lightly through the street. Max ran ahead, then returned, nudging Emma and Alex playfully, reminding them of the joy in small, ordinary moments. Returning home, Emma felt a sense of contentment she hadn't expected. She opened the front door, and Max bounded inside, padding across the living room and circling before settling by the fireplace. Emma followed, letting the warmth wash over her. The house was still quiet, but it didn't feel empty. The laughter, walks, and gentle companionship of recent days had left a mark, a lingering sense of lightness. She poured herself a cup of tea and sank into the couch, Max resting his head on her lap. While she sat there, her thoughts wandered to David. She imagined his footsteps on the porch, the familiar scent of his cologne, the way he smiled when he saw her. She missed him deeply, but she realized that the past few days had taught her something important. Love wasn't just about longing, it was also about cherishing moments, noticing joy and appreciating life even when someone she cared about was away. Max shifted slightly, nudging her hand, and she stroked his fur, feeling a gentle reassurance in the simple presence of her companion. Just then, the sound of a car pulling into the driveway caught her attention. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She rose from the couch, Max at her side, tail wagging furiously. The door opened and David stepped inside, luggage in hand, his expression tired but warm. "Emma," he called, setting his bags down quickly. Emma ran toward him, her arms wrapping around his neck. The warmth of his embrace filled the empty spaces in her chest. And Max barked happily, jumping between them. David held her close for a moment, feeling the weight of the days apart, the subtle tension of distance that had lingered. "I missed you," he said softly. Emma pulled back slightly, looking into his eyes, a smile breaking across her face. "I missed you too," she replied, her voice steady but filled with emotion. The reunion was simple, genuine, and full of the quiet love they had nurtured over the years. Max settled at their feet, happy and content, sensing that the home was whole once again. After settling his luggage, David followed Emma into the living room. She poured fresh tea for both of them, and they sat together on the couch, sharing stories of the week. Emma told him about Max's playful antics, the small walk she had taken, and even about Alex stopping by with cookies. David listened, smiling, his hand occasionally brushing hers. There was no jealousy, no tension, only the mutual understanding. that life had its small moments of joy and connection, and that those moments didn't diminish the love they shared. As the evening sun cast a soft glow through the windows, Emma felt a sense of calm satisfaction. The house was quiet but alive with warmth and comfort. David and Max sat close, both providing a sense of stability and love that Emma had realized was irreplaceable. Yet the days she had spent alone had shown her something equally valuable: the importance of noticing life, finding joy in simple interactions, and allowing herself to feel fully, even in brief moments of unexpected connection. Later, as they prepared dinner together, the house filled with the sound of chopping vegetables, the faint aroma of cooking, and Max's happy movements between them. Emma watched David laugh at a minor slip she had made while stirring, okay? And she laughed in return, the sound mingling with Max's playful barks. It was ordinary, mundane even, but Emma realized it was exactly what she had needed: the combination of love, companionship, and small joys that made life rich. After dinner, they sat on the porch with cups of tea, the evening air cool and gentle. Emma rested her head on David's shoulder, feeling the steady rhythm of his breathing, the comforting warmth of his presence. Max lay beside them, his eyes half closed, content. Emma reflected on the past week, the quiet mornings, the walks in the rain, the laughter with Alex, the small discoveries about herself, Kay, and the unwavering love she felt for David. She realized that love was not just a feeling for one person.